This gorgeous place, and I wanted to Meg Downey, Chair of the Greenway Communities Council, and I want to call that meeting, our joint meeting to order.
Okay, our first order of business, unlike what the agenda says, is to welcome a new board member. Senator Michelle Hinchy has been appointed by the Senate Majority Leader. And I believe Senator Hinchy was planning to be online. I don't know if she's there or not. Senator, are you there? Not hearing the senator. Dan, you want to pop the flag? And we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome and introductions.
Okay, so we wanted to make sure we go around the room and everyone introduce themselves. We'll start with someone who's going to be speaking to us in just a moment.
Start with yourself.
I said when I opened up, I'm Meg Downey, I'm chairman of the Greenway Communities Council. And we'll go here, we'll go around from there.
Good morning, it's Jennifer Carquist and welcome to Boscoville. I should say I'm Putnam County's representative on the Communities Council and thrilled to have you all here. Hi, I'm Betsy Jacks, Executive Director of the Thomas Cole National Historic Site. Good morning, everybody. Dana Levenberg, the member representing the 95th Assembly District, which includes
Jim Daniels, member of the Conservancy Board. Good morning, I'm Linda Malabi with Empire State Development. Pleasure to be here. Linda Bonner, I'm representing Hudson County in the Hudson Community Council.
Good morning, my name is Assemblyman AJ Beekman. I represent Southern Richards County.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa Weiss. I'm representing Lance McMillan, who's representing Commissioner Dominguez, the New York State Department of Transportation.
Great, let's go right to the group in the back.
Amber's why we're here. Well, Jennifer as well, but Amber's why everything's working here.
Well, let's make sure we get to the right. Hi, I'm Carolyn Suffolk. I am here in the interest of Suffolk, the village, on my own, the village of Suffolk, New York is a dedicated gateway to the heritage area. And would like to see some plans developed there.
My name is Dan Prentice, and I'm here today, I guess, representing the town. Town is a grateful recipient of a Greenway grant that helped us get our comprehensive plan out. I printed out for the Commissioner of the County Region of New York State Farm.
Scott Croft, Hudson Riverboat Yacht Club Association. Good morning, Angela Henry, member of the council board. I represent Hutchins County.
I'm Johanna Ford, I'm the Orange County historian and represent Orange County and Community Council.
Hello, I'm Damala Winter, Assistant Commissioner with the New York State Department of Agriculture Markets here on behalf of Commissioner Winter.
So the member is Chris Aegis, represent Orange County and some of Rockland County, and I'm Council.
Bob Elliott, council board member.
Beth Cambochiaro, Greenway staff, taking minutes.
Will Goldberg, Vice Chair of the Greenway Council.
Sarah Olson, Conservancy member, and I'm pleased to be representing Kevin Burke on site.
Sarah's acting as the meeting chair. I'm Scott Keller. I'm the executive director. And I see Senator Hinchy has joined us. Senator, welcome to the Greenway Conservancy. And would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. And I'm first and foremost, I apologize. I'm sorry, everyone. I can't be with you
She's
today.
not on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, everyone, that
We're not hearing you.
Hmm.
And you're not on mute. It's a problem. We've been having audio issues all day.
Oh,
We can
good.
hear you. Those of
Just
us
for
on Zoom-
awareness, we can hear her on the Zoom.
Right, on Zoom, we can hear you.
Okay.
Great.
Actually, we can hear Kevin, so we should be able to hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah. Excellent.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person today, but we definitely will for hopefully the next meeting. But I wanted to make sure that I could at least pop on the Zoom. This is a very popular hour. We have both the first ever meeting of the subcommittee on cannabis happening right now, and we have a briefing by the governor at 10:30 on the crisis in the Middle East. So it's a popular time, but I wanted to make sure that I could join with you all. I love the Greenway. I have the privilege and the honor of representing much of the Hudson Valley in the 41st District, but have followed the work of all of you for years. And so thank you for what you do. Thank you for your care for the Greenway and for the Hudson Valley. And I am excited to be working with you in this new capacity.
Thank you, Senator. Kevin, did you have anything to add?
Oh, I just think it's so wonderful. Barney McHenry, who again is our emeritus chair, was just so fond and deeply reverent of your father's work for the Valley. And I just think it's poetic and also really such a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to work with you. I think all of us admire what you are up to in our government and just feel lucky to be able to have you as part of our community now, as both a bridge to our founding, but also a bridge to our future. So welcome, and we're delighted.
Thank you. Me too.
Thank you, Senator. Hey, Linda, thank you. The next item on the agenda is staff announcements. I have two, and then Kevin has one. Zoe Joan Day was born July 29th to Shannon and Kenny Day. Mother and baby are doing well, and the big sisters are thrilled. Shannon will return to work on a part-time basis on October 23rd of this month. Andy Beers is just now back with us after completing a cross-country bike trip from his home in the Capital District to the Pacific Ocean in Oregon, over 4,000 miles. Andy returned last week and immediately jumped back into work. Kevin, it's all yours.
Yes, and I'm sorry I can't be there in person to share this announcement. I'm just under the weather and didn't want to risk anyone else's health. But a couple months ago, and really I think I've known this was coming for a while, but Scott let us know that in the coming year he's planning to retire from his position as executive director. It's obviously bittersweet. We are thrilled for Scott and for his future, but he is really the Greenway. And so I'm very sorry to share that news, but also know that all of us will want to celebrate Scott in the months to come. He will be with us into March of next year, and then we'll be staying on as a consultant for us on financial matters. So he's not going anywhere too far, but he is ready to take that next step in his life. I think his family probably appreciates that. But Scott, you have really set the standard in so many ways. You have been there since the very beginning. You have shepherded this organization in different roles, but obviously most critically in the last few years, dealing with the Empire State Trails creation, the pandemic, and many other important moments in our history. And there is no way to replace you, but we will have to find a person for you to pass the baton to. And I think all of us appreciate the advanced notice that you've given us, so that we have a long road ahead of us to get there, several months. And in that time, Meg and I will be working with a group of our board members to look for Scott's replacement. I think we all feel encouraged about the possibilities. But in the meantime, we want to learn as much as we can from Scott, we're grateful that he's willing to stay on in an advisory role, there as a resource to help the next person, and remain true to all of us. Scott is the best. And I know we will miss him terribly. But it's also an opportunity for us to celebrate all that he's done for the Greenway. And so more to come on that. But I wanted to share that news with all of you. So we've got Scott at this meeting. We'll have Scott at the December meeting, and I believe one more. So it's
I'll be at the
time
March
to
meeting.
sink in. Yeah, we've got time for this to sink in. But it is certainly a moment in our history to pay attention to, and to digest, and to plan for. So Scott, with that, anything you want to add before continuing on the agenda?
I think Meg wants to say something, but thank you, Kevin, for those kind words.
Well,
I wish
first
I
I
could
want to
say
give
more.
a hand to the man who's been extraordinary. I just want to second what Kevin said. Scott's service to the Greenway and also really to the state has been remarkable. Extraordinary career. And we're so lucky to have had him give us advance warning. And we also will look to all of you to, if you have any suggestions, the position will be posted. And obviously feel free in your networks to let people know about this opening, and the executive committee will be working on vetting candidates for this position. Fortunately, we have a fair amount of time. It's going to be a hard act to follow, but I think that we can, find some strong candidates to consider. So thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you both. 38 years is enough. And come January, it'll be 38 years. So it's time for new leadership, and hopefully better leadership, because you all deserve that. And with that, Jennifer, you get to follow that. Let me share the screen here and we will get your presentation up. And Jennifer Carlquist is the Executive Director at Boscobel, and she is hosting us today. And she's going to give us a little presentation on this wonderful place.
Thank you so much, Scott. And it's such a thrill to have all of you here. We very much feel like we are the home of everyone on the Hudson, but also, of course, of Barney McHenry. And so to have that through line of Barney helping to found the Greenway, as well as, of course, stewarding Boscobel from 1965 to 2019. I'm extremely honored to be the last executive director of Boscobel that Barney hired. Although I shouldn't necessarily say that, because he is still director emeritus, and you never know at 90, almost 4. But welcome to all of you. I hope you know this beautiful place as well as he did. And just in case you don't, we wanted to share with you the evolution at Boscobel, because it is a place that is evolving, and that's very much with the trajectory and guidance and leadership of people like Barney McHenry and Fred Osborne, who have taken up that mantle. So Boscobel's mission is to be a home for design, for history, for nature, and for everyone. It's one of those unique places where all of those things intersect here. And we really feel like it epitomizes the Hudson Valley experience for many of the 80,000 visitors who come each year. Boscobel's origins, for those of you who aren't as familiar, of course, date back really to the 1660s, when the Dyckman family emigrated from the Netherlands to northern Manhattan. This very site predates that history, of course, with the Lenape and Wappingers and Munsee peoples who thrived in this landscape before colonial habitation. And by the 1780s, this very site where we're standing was considered, and our view shed where we're enjoying that gorgeous view was declared by General Washington to be the key of America. And I can hear Colonel Johnson, in my ear every time I say those words. So this very site was so critical to America's independence, to our struggle to become the democracy that we all strive to see. And of course, it still is. In 1804 and 1808, that's when the original house, that glorious yellow box, was first built 12 miles south of here in Westchester County in Montrose. By the 1940s, that house fell into disrepair. It was out of family hands. It was owned by Westchester County and then converted, along with the 200 and so acres around the house, to the VA hospital in Montrose. Preservationists had been attempting to save Boscobel for decades. They considered it too beautiful to lose. The house, though, as many of you know, was sold to a wrecker for $35 in 1955 and demolished. Preservationists that went to court, they bought back as many bits and pieces as they could, thanks in part to our founding patron, Lila Wallace. And the goal was not necessarily to resurrect the house to be a mausoleum to the Dykeman family. It was really to be a home for everyone to experience the beautiful aspects of New York history. And so what is the institution that they created? It's a complicated one. We are on, of course, the National Register of Historic Places, even though this is essentially a 1950s structure with 1808 parts. It's one of the most celebrated examples of neoclassicism in America. We have 112 acres of gardens, grounds, a woodland trail, a heritage apple orchard, and an organic farm across the road that serves local food pantries. Boscobel is Putnam County's most visited cultural asset, drawing about 80,000 visitors each year. We are also a celebrated museum of New York design, and I'll show you some examples of that. We are one of the most important regional educators in arts, science, and history, serving more than 80 local schools. And Boscobel is now really coming into its own also as an economic engine with a year-round farmers market, a critical food resource for families and farmers. And now we are operating entirely year-round, including our core programming. So today, Boscobel serves its community in new ways that include schools, artists, farmers market vendors, shoppers, food pantry clients, and just anyone willing and eager to experience the glory of this very special place. This photo here. So what's next? Right? You have all of these amazing assets to share with the community. What are we looking to do next? Boscobel is very much preparing for the grand marking of American independence. So marking the revolution, the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution is top of mind. But first, we really wanted to understand and improve our core functionality as an operating public site. So our next projects include supporting sustainability, diversifying our programming for the kinds of programs we offer, the kinds of stories that we tell, and the people that we target those programs to. We are investing in connectivity, in accessibility, and in safety. And I'll give you an overview of that. So just for sustainability, we are now recognizing Indigenous history and communities through plants and trees and programming. You may have noticed a swath of browning grass as you came down the great path today. That is just the very start of a native meadow that will soon be developing and prioritizing pre-colonial plants so that we can tell that aspect of Hudson Valley stewardship, and show that aspect of Hudson Valley beauty. We support local growers and markets, makers through the farmers market, through fairs, exhibitions, and in our museum shop. And a future project, we this year have been inundated with more flooding than frankly in my previous 9 years here. So that's an interest, is to really how can we make our site more climate resilient? How can we update our aging infrastructure in a way that still recognizes its core historic character? And expanding Boscobel stewardship even beyond our site boundaries. Last year, we launched the Boscobel Community Tree Initiative. And if you came from the north, you drove by about 24 trees in the village of Cold Spring that Boscobel planted in partnership with the town of Phillipstown and the village of Cold Spring. We're looking to replace asphalt with greener surfaces and also investigating options for electric vehicle charging stations, the way of the future, even if your focus is on the past. For programming, we're really digging into all of the ways that we can activate lifelong learning indoors and out. And that means site-specific programming to mark the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, adding attractions that are self-directed for visitors indoors and out, including trails, gardens, meadows, walking loop, supporting outdoor education and play for families and school groups with a new natural playscape, and connecting Boscobel's collection, that core wonderful collection of the celebrated cabinet maker Duncan Fife, who really dominated American cabinet making from the 1790s to the 1840s. That connects to living New York makers. They come with their tape measure and they're taking notes. And we want to be able to celebrate that ongoing tradition of making in the Hudson Valley. For connectivity, access, and safety, one of the prime concerns is easing vehicle congestion via a second ingress on 9D. You all came in our 19th century farm gate today, squeezed in all at one time. On Saturday mornings, there are as many as 100 cars squeezing in and out of that same gate at one time. So I have to thank the wonderful DOT folks to help us kind of guide through that process. We're just taking baby steps towards that. We want to make sure that we are contributing to visitation management strategies in our region. I'm waving at you, Dan Prentice. He knows all too well, as the chair of the Chamber of Commerce for Cold Spring, there is tremendous tourism pressure and an infrastructure that isn't really currently adept at absorbing all of the visitation that we get in peak season. Boscobel, though, if you look around, is very well placed to absorb more of that visitation, and also really provide the truly Hudson Valley experience that people are seeking. We're partnering with the Phillipstown Trails Committee in order to get people here, both residents as well as day trippers and visitors. And thank you so much again to the Greenway for supporting that trail feasibility study. Boscobel was voted by residents as the #1 place that local families want to walk to. It is only a mile between here and Main Street. We just lack sidewalks. So we look forward to moving that forward, as well as exploring options such as electric shuttles to nearby parks and cultural assets. And site-wide, we're doing what we can on our little patch to upgrade ADA access, wayfinding, lighting, and orientation site-wide. This is some of the traffic that you'll see, both people and cars on weekends in the fall. And again, Boscobel is where we want to direct people to. And we want to make sure that we're protecting the rural, historic, scenic character of our community in order to do that. If you look, this is Boscobel, right? That wonderful yellow icon tells you how incredibly well placed we are to welcome visitors and connect them to the Mid-Hudson region. These are just some of the assets within a 10-mile radius of us. So our site plan, as you see here, pre-2022, included core programmatic areas. Last year, we launched the first phase of our master plan. #1, with ADA-friendly accessibility to all of the areas highlighted in blue. #2, site-wide electrical, Wi-Fi, telecom upgrades. It's why we have Wi-Fi. We never had it before. #3, the pavilion that we're sitting in. This is a primarily public program structure that is supported in part through revenue from private rentals. And then you also, as I mentioned, that meadow restoration project we're so excited about. More than an acre of non-native lawn converted into a thriving, vibrant educational resource. Phase 2 projects will include increased access, connectivity, and safety, as I mentioned, expanded outdoor and Rev 250 education, and operational and environmental sustainability. So I want to thank particularly the Greenway for all of the ways that they support Boscobel and our peers and our community. This is just the tip of the iceberg of the ways that we've benefited from the Greenway over the years. And I want to thank you so much, Scott, for your leadership.
Thank you, Jim.
Did I know that?
Thank you, Ross. For the man, I can't see anything. All right. Let me stop share here so we can see our Zoomers. All right, the next item on the agenda, I'm gonna just jump in and do this. Since Kevin isn't here, is the agenda review and board member comments on the agenda. You all have received copies of the agenda. Does anyone have any questions or changes to make to the agenda? Seeing none. Sarah, you wanna?
Sure, it's my duty as the, sitting in for Kevin, the meeting chair, thank you, to ask for the approval of minutes. But before I do that, I just want to add my thank you to Scott for managing this operation with just incredible grace and efficiency over the past many years. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Got 2 more meetings.
Sure again. So I need a motion for the approval of minutes of our last meeting on June 14th.
Bob Elliott,
Bob, first from Bob,
Linda.
second from Linda. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Right. And as long as you're there, you
As
can
long
call-
as I'm
you can
here,
call.
I will
the-
call to order the Conservancy meeting.
Great. I'll
Okay.
I'll take it from here.
All right.
All right. Thank you for your kind words. First thing on the agenda are Conservancy trail grants. We're looking to award 20,600 at this meeting. The first is the Orange County Land Trust in Orange County for the Moonbeam Preserves Public Access Improvements for $10,600. There's and the grants committee is recommending 10,600. Would you like to say a word or two? And if you do, please go to a mic. So that the Zoom folks can hear you as well.
Yes, thank you. So the Moonbeam Preserve is near Middletown, Orange County. It's a wonderful preserve. It has a number of different ecosystems on it, from meadow to wetlands to hardwood forests. And then on the northern border is the Schwanda Hill waterway. We also have a bit of a stretch of the old O&W rail line running through the preserve. And this grant would fund the construction of a stairway that would get visitors to the preserve from the rail bed, which is elevated to the point where there used to be a viaduct that went over the Schwanda Hill. It would get folks from that rail bed down to an existing trail that runs through the woods and along the stream bed. So we feel like it would be a great enhancement to the reserve, and we'll appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. The next one is the Village of Manans in Albany County is seeking funding in the amount of $10,000 for a study of access options for the Little River tributary. The grants committee recommends 10,000. Now I got to share my screen again. Well, this is going so smoothly, I can't even begin to tell you.
Just get out.
No, it's not that. I had to open the file, which was being temperamental. Right. The next item on the agenda is acceptance of a donation for the Hudson River National Estuarine Research Reserve. Quoting the Estuary Program newsletter, this summer, a group of enthusiastic individuals from Campbell Hudson, a nonprofit organization supporting people of differing abilities, volunteered to help with the Sloop Club's Waterfront Wednesdays at Henry Hudson Waterfront Park in Hudson. From a table selling cookies and craft items, the volunteers raised money to help restore American shad to the Hudson River. DEC has asked us to manage the donation. I have offered to waive our customary 10% fee for this project. The amount raised is $410, and the board will need to formally accept this. And I have to say, I've been to a lot of press events over the years. This is one of my favorites. These guys were just terrific. They were so enthusiastic. The next item is the approval to engage Lutz, Seelig, and Zoranda as auditors. As you know, we've been struggling to find an auditing firm to replace TM Bixby, who declined to offer services after the partner who had performed our audit for years left their employ. There's apparently a shortage of qualified auditors in the Albany area, and they've not been able to replace him. I am pleased to report that LSZ, as we're going to call them, has offered a proposal after numerous firms declined to place a bid. The executive committee has reviewed LSZ's proposal and voted to accept it. The cost is in line with what we've been paying, and the board needs to improve engaging LSZ. And we will get to the vote here in a minute. Final item on the Conservancy is, as you may have seen from the first slide, it's been something of a destructive summer. You had flooding, we had trees down all over the place. And on the Albany Hudson Electric Trail, twice Cody and Dan and I had to go out and fix the trail, fix fencing along the trail. This one resulted in short-term closure of the trail because it also brought down some of National Grid's wires. This set of damages occurred only days before Cycle the Hudson Valley brought 200 plus cyclists through on the trail. And after half a day's work, we had it fixed. Here are the fence masters, Dan and Cody on the left. And this is the second one that was next to a horse farm. And we put 80 feet of new fence on this one after 200 plus on the previous one. We had this one down to less than an hour, thanks in part to the Columbia Friends of the Electric Trail coming through, cleaning up all the trees and removing the boards and cutting all the nails off. So that was a huge help. And Sarah, you need to call for a motion. Yep. Yeah. You need to call for a motion to award the trail grants, accept the Camp Hill donation on behalf of Herner, and engage the new auditing firm, please.
And I'm calling for that motion. Thank you. First, Angela.
Angela, it's got to be a Conservancy member. Sorry. Jane.
Second, Jennifer.
Council, I'm sorry.
Your council too.
Sorry, Angela.
Betsy.
We need a Conservancy member. Okay,
Betsy.
thank you. And all in favor? Aye, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Most of the
Okay.
Conservancy is here by proxy.
Okay, I'd like to call the community council meeting to order.
Right. Short agenda for the council today, just a couple of grants to award. We have a compact grant for $15,390 to the town of Pauling, Dutchess County. They were seeking $15,397. The grants committee recommends $15,390. And we have a community grant. The village of Schuylerville in Saratoga County is seeking grant funding for $10,000 for a comprehensive plan update, and the committee recommends $10,000. And I think I skipped what Pauling's was for. They're doing a housing assessment and strategy report. Any questions on the grants?
Okay, I'd like to call for a motion to award those grants. Bob and Wind. Okay, and all in favor? All right,
Aye.
anyone opposed? Good, and I want to note one thing, I give credit to the town of Pauling for finding a way to integrate housing needs in their community, which we don't normally see in a request for Greenway grant, but this one really fit our mission as well as their needs, so to credit to them.
They definitely got bonus credit for an innovative project and one that will be transferable to other communities. Heritage areas.
Okay, so now I'm gonna call the Maurice de Enchi, Hudson River Valley National Heritage Area meeting to order. Scott?
Right. First thing is the Heritage Development Grants Program. The Grants Committee, at the request of staff, has voted to immediately sunset the Heritage Development Grants Program. Use of the program by applicants dropped precipitously at the start of the pandemic and has not recovered, despite numerous efforts to revise the program to try to attract new applicants. Currently, there are only 25 active grants, 40% of which are expired. One for more than a year. For comparison, we have 52 trail grants and 36 planning grants, and their expiration dates or rates are running at 8%. Staff reach out regularly to any grantee with expired grants and review the results weekly at our staff meetings. So it's not that they're not hearing from us and knowing that their grants are expired, they're just not responding. In addition, we've been advised from people in the community that our application, which is one of the easier state grants to apply for, is deemed too cumbersome by smaller heritage areas or heritage sites. A running underfunded program that is seeing applications come in weekly or more often is our event sponsorship program. This application is shorter than our grants program and does not require a match as it is not a grant. Funding for events seems to be the funding our heritage sites need most. So we would like to divert our grants funding into our events programming. And we will need a vote to approve that, but
Okay.
I can run through the rest, or we can do that now. The other things don't require a vote.
So to be clear, we're trying to put the money where it's really most needed as opposed to things where it's not. So we need to, I want to call
For everybody.
Yeah, this is for anyone, everyone can vote on this one or make a motion. So I'm calling for a motion to suspend the Heritage Development Grants Program.
Could I have clarification of what?
Sure.
Could I have clarification of what suspend means rather than cancel?
I think we felt that we had to take a formal process to do this. It doesn't mean that in the future, if there's the needs change, we couldn't go back to it. I think that's it.
That's what I wanted.
That's exactly it.
That's what it was. I think everyone needed to hear that, but it can come back.
Yes, you can, absolutely, if there's demand for that. Okay, so I saw Bob made a motion. Anyone else second that?
Jane?
Jane, okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Scott.
So let's see if this goes a little easier this time. Okay. Use of the NPS logo. There it goes. When the program bill reauthorizing us for 15 years passed last year, it also formally made heritage areas a program within the National Park Service. The Park Service has developed a new logo specifically for use by heritage areas and set forth concrete guidelines on when and how it may be used. Fortunately for our brochure stock, anything using the arrowhead alone is grandfathered in, and we don't have to throw all those out and do a new print run with this new logo. One use that is not allowed is to have the NPS logo on anything that solicits donations. This is an issue on our Heritage Area website is we have in the banner, we've had the National Park Service logo, and we've had a give button. They appear on every page. So we have replaced the National Park Service logo with a revised Maurice D. Hinchy Hudson River Valley National Heritage Area logo that actually gets his name into the logo finally after years. So that is what you're going to see on our website now instead of the National Park Service arrowhead. Okay, and the last thing for the NHA is the NHA by the numbers 2022 report. This report is compiled by the Park Service every year. It was included in your report. Some highlights include that the NHAs leverage 75 million in cash and in-kind support, carry out heritage projects and programs, greatly increasing the impact of the 26.1 million in federal heritage partnership program funding received. In our heritage area, we leveraged 4.34 million, or almost 9 times our $500,000 appropriation. Heritage areas around the country engaged 2,633 formal partners and 4,208 informal partners in heritage area activities. Benefits, heritage areas benefited from 28,183 volunteers, contributing over 331,000 hours for heritage area projects, and $9.9 million value on its own. MPS compiles this report based on numbers provided each January by the 62 heritage areas, and Dan does the bulk of that work for us. Moving on to my executive director's report, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
And you? Beginning July 30th, Cycle the Hudson Valley saw over 200 cyclists participate in a Troy to New York City trip along the Empire State Trail. The first day saw participants traveling down AHET. 5 of our trail counters across the region reported a high number for usage of the trail on the day Cycle the Hudson Valley came through, which is a pretty good measure of the increased economic activity brought to the communities that tour passed through. This year, the Hudson River Valley had 156 registered events hosted by 106 partners. Although some were canceled on 2 washout weekends, website traffic this year to the Ramble website increased 25% in the August-September timeframe over last year. And August is when people begin planning their Ramble trips. So we think we saw an increase in attendance this year, or at least we had plans for an increase in attendance until the weather decided, well, let's just rain all over it. The New York State Office of Information Technology Services awarded the Greenway an Accessibility Achievement Award for having no accessibility issues on our website. Staff at ITS noted it is very rare for an agency to receive this. It is difficult to be fully compliant. Kudos again to Dan, who is our primary website manager, but also to Beth and Cody, who back him up when he's not available. And I want to ask you to join me in thanking the staff for all of their hard work, particularly this summer when we were quite shorthanded with both Andy and Shannon out. Thank you, guys. And I want to finish a fun thing. I think I closed the PowerPoint a little bit early. Samuscott Orchards in Kinderhook decided to do a corn maze this year, but not just any corn maze. It's one celebrating the Empire State Trail and the Albany Hudson Electric Trail. As you can see at the top, there's a train car.
No, it's not on the screen.
Not on the screen. Well, it's my first meeting. What can I tell you? There we go. At the top is a train car, and then there's people walking on the trail, and then there's a bicycle. And you enter at the bottom by going through their greenhouse. And they have 8 stations scattered throughout the maze, and not just on the way, on the correct way. You have to walk all over it. And they have individual hole punches that match 8 images on a card they give you. If you get all 8, you get a free soft serve ice cream or $1 off their hard ice cream. And one of the owners, Jake Samsicott, is the vice president of the Columbia Friends of the Electric Trail. So he's one of the people that was out cleaning up the fence work, as well as running this, although his brother, I've given to understand, is the one who lays this out every year. So so that's all I have for my executive director's report. We do have new business, if you want.
All right, we're going to have, I think the other Scott Croft, talk to us a little bit about a grant.
We don't get the other stats much at all. It was Scott and Scott. We're in stereo.
Good morning, everybody. Glad to be here. I'll try to be really brief, but I want to tell you about something that's very exciting and near and dear to me. I volunteer with the Hudson River Boat and Yacht Club Association. That's about 33 clubs from Poughkeepsie all the way down to the Raritan Bay. There's another group called the Mohawk Hudson Council, similar group, starts north of there and goes into the Mohawk region. And I believe there's about 20 or so clubs there. So my day job is with the Boat Owners Association of the United States. That's a national advocacy, services, and safety group for recreational boat owners in the country. That we have about 800,000 members. We tow boats on the water. We lobby for access, things like safe fuels for boats, and we have a great boating safety program, the only free boating safety course in 36 states. And we have about 44,000 members in New York State. So we had a great presentation this morning about what you're doing here at Boscobel to grow its infrastructure. And something that really sort of struck me very, very poignantly is, you said you wanted to put in electric charging stations because that's something your visitors need now. And you have to roll with the times. The river here is a highway, but it's a highway for boats, not buses, not cars. Everybody gets car traffic, bus traffic to their event, to their businesses, to their historic sites. But the river is sort of hard to go see anything, to go any place, to go to a local village, have a lunch, spend a couple of days, a weekend touring the Highlands. There's a great loop association. There's probably 2,000 boats alone that come through the Hudson River every year.
What's the Great Loop?
The Great Loop is a challenge that boaters like to do in the eastern half of the United States. They generally start here in New York. They go through the Erie Canal, they go through the Great Lakes, they come down the Mississippi, come up the Gulf and up the Intercoastal. And it's a terrific, probably a year run. There are all these passionate people about seeing, parts of America through that journey. But I got to tell you, there's not a lot of places for them to stop. I mean, we have plenty of places for bus access. We have all our historic sites have parking lots. All our villages have parking, but there's no place for me in my own backyard to leave Ossining and go north and check out a town for a night or two. So my question is, how easy do we in this Hudson River Valley make it easy for boaters to spend and visit locally? And what we need is safe, protected dockage and amenities for these tourists by water. That's the way I really want to frame it. It's no different from an automobile tourist or a bus tourist. It just happens to be floating. So there's this program that my day job, Boat US, started in 1998, when our members were coming to us and they say, hey, we just bought a boat, we have no place to go. So we started this program that takes money that boaters pay on fuel taxes excise taxes on fishing gear. So it's a user pay, user play kind of program. This isn't money from any general fund. I pay for it. And this money comes out in the form of boating infrastructure grants to the tune of this year, $20 million that's available. Now, since it began, over $283 million, $283 million has been available for safe harbor facilities, including infrastructure for piers, breakwaters, floating docks, bulkheads, mooring buoys, day docks, dinghy docks, slips, bathrooms, showers, a couple more laundries, recycling stations, fuel docks, utilities, navigation aids to let me know how to get in, including dredging. These are all the things that boaters need to know that when they go someplace, their boat's safe and I can leave the boat and I can have a wonderful time in your community. So this program is a national program. It's managed by Fish and Wildlife, but administered locally through state agencies. In New York State, it's the State Division of Parks, Office of Parks. And they have a wonderful, they really do a good job. I've worked with them personally. Chattamuck Yacht Club about 15 years ago down in Ossining applied for one of these grants and increased their transient slips. When I say transient, that's temporary overnight slips. They added, I believe, 15 or 20 slips. And I, since I keep my boat next door, I see those slips frequently filled. The key with the boating infrastructure grant, the big requirement, excuse the pun, is that the funds must be used to attract visiting transient boats greater than 26 feet. And the reason why it's 26 feet is 26 feet, a 26-foot boat and above generally has three things. It has cooking facilities, a restroom, a head, we call it, and sleeping facilities. So these are boats that you can spend, an afternoon, a day, a week, a weekend comfortably, and probably bringing more than one person aboard that boat as well. So I just wanted to share last couple numbers out of the program. The program's an annual program. I tell people, don't worry on the annual deadline. I believe in New York State, most of the states, it's in the fall. But I would worry less about that if you're interested in focusing more on providing a quality application. We have an employee that serves on this board, and they tell me that routinely grants are incomplete. They are submitted at the last minute. Money goes ungiven, and that's a shame. There's two tiers of funding, smaller projects up to $200,000. Tier 1, it's not competitive. Tier 2 provides a maximum up to 1.5 million per application, is competitive nationally. These grants do require a minimum 25% matching funds. In New York State, the Office of Parks requires that a municipality, a government entity do it. In other states, you can have private marinas even apply for it. If you have a private marina in New York State, they can work through their local village or town to apply. It's given us almost 7,000 transient berths across the US since the program began. And one little last key requirement is once you get the grant, it has to be there. Those facilities, those docking facilities have to be there for 20 years. So if the marina or anything changes hands, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know if the word's a covenant or whatever, but because those grants, these are federal monies paid, the lifespan has to be at least 20 years. And I'll finish up by saying, I've seen this program work. I was down in Virginia about 7 years ago to, I'm going to say it, a backwater on the Rappahannock. And they used a grant to revitalize their transient docking facilities. And I went down there for a ribbon cutting 5 years later. And today, that little area on the Rappahannock, they have their farmers market, they have live music. There's now 2 stores that are open adjacent serving the traditional summer stuff, ice cream. It's become vibrant for that little town. So can you imagine, we have some nice towns here on the river. Can you imagine if you provided 5 or 10 slips where somebody could come in at any time? You have to pay for it. Usually there's a fee. I would have to pay for those slips as well. It's not free for the user. It does provide some incremental revenue for maintenance and all that. But this program is wonderful. I dream of one day the Hudson River having a little necklace. I call it a pearl necklace of places I can stop and stay for an afternoon, a weekend, or even longer if I find something really exciting for me. So Office of Parks, Boating Infrastructure Grant is the best way to look it up. If you have any questions or just want to toss an idea out or something, please give me a call. I can share my number 914-336-6778. 914-336-6778 is my cell phone. And appreciate the time, folks. Any questions? Thank you.
Mickey, sorry, we're landlocked.
What's that out there?
The marsh, yeah.
Yeah. Our next board meeting date is Wednesday, December 6th. The one after that is Wednesday, March 6th. That's not a typo. It's a leap year, so they both happen to fall on the 6th.
Where are they?
They will both be, all of these board meetings upcoming are scheduled to be at the Wallace Center in Hyde Park.
Okay, well, that's it, folks. So can I call for a motion to adjourn?
I have a couple of items that I could just
Sure.
Mention. One is, to report that, the stock exchange about grants, for voters, and the use of the river, reminds me, and indeed, earlier, was out, earlier today, you reminded me, that there was another kind of home, it's traditionally, not sadly every winter, but it's hard water sailing, it is ice boating. And, this very week, the Hudson River Ice Yacht Preservation Trust is on the schedule for approval by the New York State Board of Regents. And if approved, it will move toward acquiring, at least in release, if not gift and purchase, an appropriate building to store people's ice boats. The notion is that these boats, and it's true that it's not every winter that nature gives us ice that we can sail. But it has happened. In 2014 was one of the great winters, and then we hope it will happen again. But meanwhile, the protection of these late 19th and early 20th century ice boats is a matter of urgent concern, because they can end up being left in barnyards and buildings and that you've forgotten about, and they are some of the real treasures and enormous fun in store and sale. So just to be continued. We hope for good news on that front. The other is that on the 19th of October, Thursday the 19th at 2:00, there's going to be a gathering at the Old New York Central Depot in Hyde Park, called by Randy Fleischer, an extraordinary man who's been one of the top dogs at Metro North for many years, responsible for some of the terrific improvements in that system. Now semi-retired from that, a member with Fred, I think, of the Taconic Park Commission. He has taken a keen interest in this museum, which was started 50 years ago when the station was given up on New York Central, and the local people created a new museum there. I've never been in it. I went in Randy's request a few weeks ago. It is amazing. And it's a real time capsule. And upstairs, there's an operating line modern train system that the flip of the switch, any child would be captivated. But the building is completely intact, with all the stuff the station had to have, the station master, the baggage handler, and so forth. The question is, what's going to happen? The local support for it is aged, and I think it's been rarely open. And this, I think, interest with Mr. Fleischer, he wants to interest other people in this. to make it a viable part of the Hyde Park experience. And so, I think the National Park Service should be represented at this open house, if you call it that, and discussion. And, I encourage all those interested in these things, to call, one meeting, and tell us that you're coming, just come, 2 o'clock on Thursday the 19th. Thanks very much.
Great. I was a big Lionel Train fan as a kid, so I'm very excited about seeing that. If you need any information about where that is, where to go, just shoot a note to Scott and he can give you the information on that. Okay, so I think we're done. Thanks very much for that, Wint, and, sorry, go right ahead.
Nice. I just want to say that this weekend in the city of Newburgh, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the historic district being established. And it is New York State's largest contiguous historic district. So it's a big accomplishment, and it wouldn't have happened if not for people like Barry Kennedy. So some of the people that have represented and supported this organization, before this organization existed, they were doing things like getting this important, preeminent historic district established.
Thanks, Joanna, for telling us that. And anyone else have something? Okay, I'm going to now. Oh, there we go.
Carolyn Suffer, when I was 5 years old, I had polio. My legs are fine, my muscles are fine, I can walk. But you have an issue with energy and stamina. I looked at the Boscobel sign last night, and it says, into our building, there's 4 steps, there's 10 steps, there's 7. I've never seen that on a public facility like this before. And I can tell you, there are so many places I do not go, because I have no idea how I'm going to get into the building or what I'm in front when I get there. So thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thanks for mentioning that. That's good.
But it's to my friend.
I'll carry you back to your car.
All right, anyone else? Okay, a motion. And anyone on Zoom who has anything? Doesn't seem so. Okay, call for motion to adjourn.
You all want to stay here?
And Betsy. Okay. All right, all in favor?
Right.
Anyone opposed? I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, this is great. So,